Look, many of the details that Biden couldn't recall, such as how boxes were packed up, how they were transported, those are things that would likely be tricky for anyone to remember.
Welcome to this week's Wacky Moments of Leftist Extremism. It was a week where the leftist news hosts went into full defend Joe Biden mode, ignoring facts wherever possible. Ex-Special Counsel Robert Hur testified before Congress on Tuesday, and transcripts of his interview with addled brain Biden were released.
Of course, Hur's report and the way he wrote it caused this significant political headache for Biden when Hur described the president as a, quote, elderly man with a poor memory. We all remember that. Does the transcript shed any light on that aspect of things?
So, look, many of the details that Biden couldn't recall, such as how boxes were packed up, how they were transported, those are things that would likely be tricky for anyone to remember.
You know, it's tough to remember where you put those classified documents that you've hoarded illegally for decades. I mean, did I put those in a box by my Corvette or not? I can't remember. Anyone could forget that.
Those are things that would likely be tricky for anyone to remember.
I mean, it certainly wouldn't be because Biden has an addled mind that he got away scot-free from charges, even though that's pretty much what the report indicates.
But his report sparked outrage and anger, with the president and the White House furious over Hur's characterization of Biden as a sympathetic, well-meaning elderly man with a poor memory. The White House has said that was gratuitous and inappropriate and overshadowed the fact that, unlike Donald Trump, President Biden did not obstruct this investigation and was exonerated.
Actually, Biden has not been exonerated. Hur made that pretty clear in his report.
You exonerated conviction.
I know that the term willful.
It's interesting how the media buy into this White House take of Hur's report when compared to how they, read, say, that Mueller report on Trump and Russia.
Does not exonerate him.
He lied today when he said, I've been fully exonerated.
He could not be exonerated.
He does not exonerate.
But he's not exonerated.
He was not exonerated. President Trump was not exonerated.
Did not exonerate the president.
Mueller didn't exonerate Trump.
He is not fully exonerated.
Not exonerating.
Biden also not exonerated, but he says he is. So, that's good enough for the leftist media.
President Biden did not obstruct this investigation and was exonerated.
What was also good enough for the leftist media this week was CNN hosting David Frum to compare Trump to a giant Earth-destroying comet.
These odds are very scary. I mean, if you're told there's a giant comet heading toward Earth and it's got only about a 45% chance of hitting the planet, 55% chance it misses, you think, well, I guess on balance that's good, but it's still a very unacceptable risk of being hit by a giant comet.
So Trump is like a giant comet. Well, this is Facts First CNN. I'm sure they'll totally fact check this.
Very interesting analogy. All right, let's turn for a second to another headline.
Or, move on. Facts would be inconvenient for the leftist narrative. For example, another month brought another consumer price index report and another hot, steaming embarrassment for the Biden administration. NBC and CBS, well, they didn't cover this report at all because ignoring facts helps Joe. But it's important to recognize the loan of the Big Three network newscasts to report on the February inflation numbers. And it was ABC, and they did it for about a whopping 18 seconds.
Now to the economy tonight, a new report suggesting the inflation fight has stalled. Consumer prices in February were up 3.2% from a year ago. That's slightly above what was expected. The cost of gas and rent rising last month, but food prices were flat. The Federal Reserve meets next week. Analysts still think an interest rate cut could come this summer.
And that's it. Somehow, I think if inflation numbers were down, there might have been a little more excitement in their coverage, don't you? Prices keep rising under Bidenomics, but CNN offers some great advice when it comes to gas prices. Don't panic. Why? Well, they expect they'll only go up to nearly $4 a gallon, but not $5. For some reason, the CNN article doesn't mention that $2.38 a gallon price that was there before Biden was sworn into office. I wonder why. Maybe it's because they try to slam Trump every possible chance they get.
Look at the Trump campaign website, Mr. Secretary General. It says, quote, "We have to finish the process that we began under my administration of fundamentally reevaluating NATO's purpose and NATO's mission." Would a second Trump presidency concern you about the future of U.S. membership in NATO?
Wow, way to load your question to the NATO Secretary General, but it does all blow up in her face.
Well, I believe that the United States will continue to be a staunch NATO ally, regardless of the outcome of the U.S. elections, because it is in the U.S. interest to have a strong
even under
NATO.
President Trump?
Because it is Well, I worked with him for 4 years, and I listened carefully because the main criticism has been about NATO allies spending too little on NATO. The message has been taken across the alliance in Europe and Canada. So the message from the United States that European allies have to step up has been understood, and they are now really moving in the right direction, and that strengthens also the transatlantic bond within the alliance.
Oh man, that look. This did not go as planned. But don't expect that to derail the leftist media narrative. This doesn't stop them at all. MSNBC's Joy Reid hosted African-American Senator Raphael Warnock to accuse officials in his state of Georgia of suppressing the black vote, even though there's no evidence of that and Warnock himself was elected.
All of that happened despite your state being in some ways a marquee for voter suppression. Your governor, Brian Kemp, who, when he was Secretary of State, almost arithmetically attempted to remove voters from the polls and then very ceremoniously signed a voter suppression law.
Wait, you're telling me Governor Kemp physically removed people from voter polling places, the actual polls?
Your governor, Brian Kemp, who, when he was Secretary of State, almost arithmetically attempted to remove voters from the polls.
I'm going to have to assume, like most on MSNBC, she has no idea what she's talking about. For example, Morning Joe protecting Hunter Biden from appearing before Congress publicly, like he had earlier requested.
And if you did look at Donald Trump's family members, you would be able to see that they have benefited in many ways that seem inappropriate, perhaps as inappropriate as some of the relationships that Hunter had that ultimately added up to no law breaking. But I don't know, $2 billion from Saudi Arabia. It just seems it seems unseemly. I could be wrong. I mean, maybe it's okay.
No, it's completely unseemly.
Khashoggi.
All right, there Miko references Jamal Khashoggi, the Saudi journalist whose murder the CIA concluded had been ordered by Saudi Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman. Now, if you forget what bin Salman looks like, you can see him right here as he fist bumps his good buddy Joe Biden. But Mika doesn't have any concerns about that. The leftist media only exist to exalt their beloved Biden administration. And of course, all their deadly historical firsts.
Tonight, Kamala Harris making history as the first vice president to visit a women's health clinic where abortions are provided.
No word if Harris actually participated in killing a baby, but if she had, I'm sure it would have been a first that ABC would have been more enthusiastic about.
And I think we should all want that for each other.
I'm Eric Shiner from MRCTV, asking you to make it a priority and head over to the MRC homepage, click on that donate button, visit MRCTV for the latest in videos, information, and entertainment, and be sure to like, share, and subscribe on the platforms that let you see us. We'll be back next week with another look at leftist media madness.
I want to invite you as my guest on a very special, once-in-a-lifetime, 7-day post-election cruise in the Caribbean. It's going to be a blast.